We have some breaking news to bring you now, and it's a pretty big story too. Live to our city editor, Mark Kleiman, who joins me on the phone. Mark, what have you got?
Yes, Ian, this concerns Sir Philip Green's high street empire, Arcadia Group, which I understand is now facing collapse within days, putting as many as 15,000 jobs at risk. Now, I'm told that Arcadia, which owns TopShop, Burton and Dorothy Perkins, among other brands, is preparing to appoint administrators from Deloitte as soon as Monday of next week. Now, if this does happen, it would effectively bring the curtain down, Ian, on the high street career of one of Britain's most controversial businessmen. Arcadia has been in talks for the last few weeks with a number of lenders about an emergency £30 million loan to keep the business afloat. But sources say that those talks have not resulted in a deal, making Arcadia's administration inevitable. Now, this, of course, comes 18 months after Sir Philip's empire secured some breathing space through a creditor-approved insolvency mechanism called a company voluntary arrangement, which kept the business trading. But like many other high street businesses, it's seen its finances decimated by the COVID-19 crisis. And one of the key questions, Ian, is going to be how many of those 15,000 jobs can be saved. I understand that if the administration is confirmed early next week, the Arcadia shops, which are currently allowed to trade under lockdown restrictions, will remain open, as will its online operations. That means it's a so-called trading administration. But it will, of course, raise questions about whether many of those jobs have a future, given that some of the bidders for Arcadia's assets, the likes of TopShop, are likely to be online-only retailers. And, of course, this marks, Ian, a dismal climax to Sir Philip's career as one of the most prominent figures to bestride Britain's retail industry. In reality, it's been something of a tortured decline for him. He saw his reputation trashed after the £1 sale of BHS, the department store chain, in 2015 to the bankrupt Dominic Chappell, with the chain collapsing a year later and leaving Sir Philip fighting a bitter battle before agreeing to contribute £363 million to its pension pot. There will be a lot of interested pension scheme members at Arcadia waiting to see what happens if the company does go into administration. And I should point out, Ian, that Arcadia did not respond to a request for comment this morning, but I suspect we will hear confirmation of this sad news about Arcadia going into administration in the coming days.
Mark, what about the position of Sir Philip himself? Do you think it's at all possible, if this business does go into administration, that he might try and buy parts of it back out of administration?
My sense, Ian, from talking to people close to Sir Philip, is that that's unlikely at this stage. I think he's clearly been bruised and battered by the events of the last few years. And people who have been around the Arcadia situation in recent months say that he has been trying to find a solution that's in the best interests of the company's employees and other stakeholders. But my sense would be that he's an unlikely bidder for any of the company's brands. Remember, Sir Philip bought Arcadia back in 2002. He paid about £850 million for it. And then just 3 years later, the company's ultimate owner, Sir Philip's wife, Lady Tina Green, received one of the biggest dividend payouts in British corporate history, a £1.2 billion dividend. And for many years, Sir Philip was indeed the self-styled king of the British high street. But in the last few years, as consumer shopping habits have changed and Arcadia's brands have been slow to adopt digital retailing expertise, it has been a company that has struggled. As I say, it went through a CVA restructuring last year, and the coronavirus crisis has just accelerated shopping trends towards digital and online channels and away from high street retailers like Arcadia.
All right, Mark, thanks for that.